I'm now at section 5 of this lecture, which is called Chosen But For What? And the the novel, effectively for me, the novel should end when Joe finally communicates with the military and they answer by tapping on his forehead, basically, "Who are you?" And at this point, I think the novel is really over. And then he has his discussion. He has his long sort of outpouring of the novel's message, I guess, if you will. And I get it. I mean, it's a young man's book, and it's written by somebody who is enraged at what happens to workers, and all of that is fair. I just think that the real end of the book is when they ask him who he is, and what you have to consider basically is where is he and when is he, because he doesn't know, right? I mean, he knows he's American, but they don't know that. I mean, we don't know. We have no idea actually where he is. We can guess. So when they ask him, "Who are you?" basically, the industrial world now is after the last thing that Joe has, that he owns, his identity, right? And this is the anxiety we are still dealing with in terms of people having our information. Well, not so much people having our information, because that's one thing. It's more systems of systems having our information. It's one thing if somebody knows your stuff, but what if the generalized system has your deets, the 411 as we used to say, and can hail you? And this is again Althusser's notion of being hailed. That this is what Althusser calls interpolation, which is, yet again, the appropriation of a word for something one of these French theorists thinks is a good idea. But when the state interpolates you, it hails you, right, and it calls you up, and it may be something like a pop-up in your browser, or it may be a notification or a phish or a scam of some kind. Or it may be that you arrive at the library, and as you walk in, and you hand them your library card, they say, "Do you still live on blah blah blah?" And they're like, "I don't. Did I give you that information? Like when did this all get connected up and that kind of thing?" So maybe the system just hails you. And it says, "Hey, user number 3429, we know who you are. Wouldn't you like this?" And you're like, "Oh, the system knows a bit too much about me." This is the same anxiety that Joe has. There's just a bit of a difference because he is completely helpless before it, and we will say, "Oh, I'm helpless." It's like, not so much. You can opt out. It's going to make your life tougher, but you can still do it. You still have a choice. Whereas if you've had all of essentially your parts removed, then you have very little agency, and all you can do is tap, and you can't say no, really. Well, you can say no a little bit. So when Joe looks ahead, and you have to remember this is 1938 when Trumbo was writing this. He looks ahead to a war that hasn't happened yet. Right? He's looking ahead. I mean, Trumbo is sort of doing a science fictional thing here, where he's extrapolating what happened from World War One, and to some extent what is happening in Ethiopia and in Spain, where the Germans are helping Franco fight the Republicans in Spain, and they're using for the first time the new weapons, which basically they will be using in World War II. So they're using early jets, or basically they're using single propeller aircraft, which are fast for the first time. I mean, these are fast, like the P-51 Mustang, which is an American plane, but they're using high-speed planes, not biplanes with the hammer. You got to get out and fix the motor with a hammer. It's like, no. And so Joe, on page 240, saw a world of lovers forever parted, of dreams never consummated. He saw a world of dead fathers and crippled brothers and crazy screaming sons. He saw a world of armless mothers clasping headless babies to their breasts, trying to scream out their grief from throats that were cancerous with gas. He saw starved cities, black and cold and motionless, and the only things in the whole dead, terrible world that made a move or a sound were the airplanes that blackened the sky on 240. Now, this is enormously foresighted of Trumbo, because he really sees ahead to what a city will look like when it's been area bombed. But no cities have been area bombed at this point, right? I mean, that's why Picasso's Guernica is so important, because it's the bombing of a little town in Spain, and that essentially the town is made to disappear by repeated bombing, but not by heavy bombers. I mean, that stuff hasn't even happened yet. Anyway, so Trumbo is seeing ahead to the Blitz, basically, what's going to happen to London, and what then the British are going to do to German cities by the dozens, well, by the hundreds. He talks about basically this being a witness to essentially the greatest show on earth, and this is why the importance of the carnival is so important, basically, in the book. Certainly, you never expected to win yourself, even if you bought a ticket. That Joe essentially wins himself as a prize. Now he was just the reverse. He had lost a 1,000,000 to 1 shot on page 86. And so in losing, Joe finally realizes that he is a political subject, and he has been hailed by the state completely, right? And he's got almost nothing left, but he does actually have one little thing left.